What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video I'm going to be showing you one of the new dungeons that's coming in battle for Azeroth, and that dungeon is called Freehold. It's located in Tiergard Sound in Kul'tiras, and just some lore of the dungeon is that Freehold has traditionally served as a haven for pirates, scoundrels, and those who wish to live free of Kul'tiran control. Now the Irontide Raiders have brought the city under their harsh rule and are coercing the various pirate crews under their banner. While the pirates gather, a small group of heroes must infiltrate the town and eliminate their leadership to dissolve this growing alliance of cutthroats. I'm going to show you the dungeon in entirety, but I'm going to speed it up so it's not 30 minutes long. And then when it comes to the bosses, I'm going to explain the bosses to you as best as I can. So let's get started. Now this is the first boss, Sky Captain Crag, along with his mount, Sharkbait, which you can actually get Sharkbait as a mount, at least a green version of him. I did on my second time doing this dungeon. But anyways, how it works is he starts out on Sharkbait, and all that will happen is that Sharkbait will just charge forward, and he casts it up. You can see where he's charging by the giant brown swirl on the ground. Don't get hit by that. And then when Sky Captain Crag gets 75% health, Sharkbait will fly around in the air, and then you face the orc. Another ability that he does is called Azeroth Powder Shot. He'll select a random person and then shoot him with a frontal AoE cone. At this point it's near impossible to dodge. It'll just hit you, but it usually won't kill you unless you're at low health. As mentioned before, Sharkbait is flying around the air, and he'll shoot down vile bombardment on random people. It's just this slowing goo on the ground. Don't stand in it because it will hurt you. And then finally, Sky Captain Crag will cast something called Revitalizing Brew. It heals him as he's casting it. You have to interrupt it as soon as he starts casting it because it will stop his healing. But then once you interrupt it, he'll throw the brew somewhere, and you can run up, click on it, and it'll start healing you. And that is really the whole fight. And then the next fight is the Council of Captains, which was actually really bugged on the alpha, because if you wiped on them at all, well, they all despawned and then came back as neutral, and you just couldn't attack them. They would despawn if you tried to attack them. So I actually ended up doing this on a second run through the dungeon. But anyways, the Council of Captains is comprised of a Kul'tiran human named Captain Raoul, a normal human named Captain Jolly, and then a Vulpira named Captain Eudora, and they all have their own individual moveset. Captain Raoul will throw a barrel on a random player, and they'll just be disoriented, they can't attack, your party members have to kill that barrel for it to get off of them. And then he'll do something called Barrel Smash. It puts this brown swirl under his feet, melee need to get out of it, or they'll get hurt. Captain Jolly will jump to a random location and then do a blade spin on a random player. You'll notice it by a more silver swirl on the ground. Don't stand in that. He'll also throw this fire blade at a random location, which is a red swirl on the ground, and at the moment on alpha, it's actually a one-shot kill. So I assume that's going to be fixed at some point, but yeah. Currently, if you stand on that, you'll instantly die. And then Captain Eudora, which is a friendly NPC in this fight, I don't think actually hurts you at all. He will hurt the other two captains though. He'll shoot them from time to time, and then he'll actually do a frontal AoE cone. That didn't hurt me when I stood in it, so I assume it hurt them. And then currently on the alpha, the fight actually ends once you kill Captain Raoul, but if Captain Jolly ends up killing your group after you killed Captain Raoul, you know, with his one-shot mechanic, you actually don't get loot. So I assume this is going to be fixed before the final release. And that is the entire fight. Then the next fight is the Ring of Booty, which starts off with you and the group in this Ring of Blood looking arena. There's a lot of RP that goes on, and then they throw a pig in the arena that one of your group members just has to catch. It's not the boss fight, it just kind of initiates the boss fight. And then after that, a mini boss will spawn, and for us it was this Tortolin named Ludwig von Tortolin. I don't know if it's random or if it's always going to be this mini boss, but all he did was just shoot out these shells that spun around. Don't get hit by them. He was an easy mini boss. And then the actual boss comes out, named Trothak. And pretty much all he'll do is he'll cast something called Shark Tornado. When he starts casting it, melee you need to run away from him because he'll start spinning around and do a ton of damage to you if you're in melee range. He'll then throw one of the sharks that's attached to his arm at a random player. It'll hurt you if you get hit by it, and then that shark will fixate on a random player. Just run away from it, and the same thing happens with the other shark in his arm. He'll throw it at a random person, it'll fixate, run away. And then he'll do something called Rearm, it'll charge towards one of the sharks. If you get hit by that charge, it does do quite a bit of damage to you. But he'll take that shark that he charged to, and then just reattach it to his arm. And that's really the entire fight. And then for the final boss, Harlan Sweet, which when fighting him, the first thing I noticed is that he could do this really weird thing with his torso where he like extended it. It was actually kind of terrifying. But going over his abilities and then the buffs that he can give himself during the fight, one of the abilities he does is called Cannon Barrage, which will mark a random person, put a red arrow over their head, and they just kind of have to keep moving. They'll drop a red swirl under their feet, and they'll drop like 4 of them back to back. Just make sure you're not standing on that red swirl. He'll also cast Swift Wind Saber, which will spawn these 3 wind-looking things that'll fly out in one direction. You can kind of just dodge around them. And then another thing he does is called Avasti, which he'll spawn an Iron-Tide Grenader, which essentially fixates on a target and will explode once it meets its target. It does spawn where the tank is tanking the boss, so the tank can kind of just intercept it. And then at 60% and then 30% of his health, he'll use loaded dice. He'll either use loaded dice all hands or loaded dice Man of War. If he uses loaded dice all hands, then his abilities will target more players. If he uses loaded dice Man of War, his abilities will happen twice as often, but his damage taken is increased by 2 times. As mentioned, he uses one of those loaded dice abilities at 60% and then the other at 30%. And that's the entire boss. And that is also the entire Freehold dungeon. I quite like this dungeon. The more pirate themed stuff is cool, but this was definitely the more glitchy dungeon of the bunch. The glitches will of course be ironed out before the final release. But if you guys like this video, you can leave a like on it, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.